So the Minnesota Lynx have started out the season 4-2, looking very nice, even without, of course, their best player and a top three player in the association, Nafisa Collier. And I want to talk about it. They're doing great stuff, and there are a lot of points I want to hit on. And I think I should first start out with the head of the snake. That is Cheryl Reeve. Cheryl Reeve, an amazing coach. I am a newer fan, and I've been listening to a lot of people talk about it, and they think that Cheryl Reeve is the GOAT coach. So, GOAT WNBA coach in action, showing off what she can do. And we know a Cheryl Reeve team has to play defense, and so you watch them play. They're playing defense even without maybe the craziest defensive personnel. And we thought, definitely there would be a major hole, especially losing a co-deploy in Alana Smith, and they also lost Jessica Shepard. So their whole front court was, well, they also lost Maria Klindikova, which means that that's a whole new front court coming in, and that's a lot of question marks on that direction. You don't know what is going to happen exactly, and we see that they brought in Natasha Howard and they brought in Nia Coffey, and I think we're going to get to those two certainly a bit later, but you see them locking in defensively. You see that, and they also had Emma Chikova in the beginning part. Unfortunately, she suffered a torn ACL, so that's unfortunate because you saw her being a fairly good contributor to that team. But even still, they don't have the craziest amounts of size on the team. However, you see the length with Natasha Howard and Nia Coffey, and you see that even without that they're depending on, of course, the game plan, like against the Toronto Tempo, where Sykes and Mabry saw multiple bodies. They basically said, "We're gonna get the ball out of your hands, and we're gonna force the Tempo to shoot threes." I think the Tempo shot like 41 threes in that game. So of course, the game plan will change on a team to team basis, but Cheryl Reeve is one of the greatest coaches. She is obviously up to that challenge. And when you have one of the greatest coaches ever, maybe the greatest coach ever, working with a still good roster that I think it kind of, I don't know if it was under talked about or anything, but you watch it and you watch the team this season and it's like I kind of forgot that this team is good, and it's somewhat tough to, or it's somewhat weird to think about also because Nafisa Collier missed 11 games last season, and during that span the Minnesota Lynx still were good in that stretch. So they have, I mean, obviously Nafisa Collier makes them a whole nother team. But even still, they can manage without her. We saw that last year. We're seeing that this year. And that's great stuff. And of course, it starts with Cheryl Reeve being the head of the snake, making the game plans, coaching the team hard, making them play defense, making sure that the players are ready, getting the most out of their players because, a whole nother discussion is Alana Smith has not been great at all this early part of the season. Of course, she can still turn it around, but we're maybe seeing. I saw a really funny tweet earlier that was like Cheryl Reeve was running an Eric Spoelstra esque Ponzi scheme in order to protect someone, alluding to Alana Smith. Um, so I'm not sure about all that necessarily, but we see Cheryl Reeve doing great stuff with whoever is on the team, and you of course have to give a big shout out to her there. Then after Cheryl Reeve, of course, we have Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride, the vets on the team. They've still got it. They've still absolutely got it. And for starting out with Courtney Williams, with the addition of Olivia Miles, she is of course slotted back into the shooting guard position, maybe her natural position, and we're seeing that kind of simplifies the game a lot for her. And because of the reps that she had in the previous seasons being the point guard, we're seeing Courtney Williams be, of course, able and free to shoot the ball whenever she feels comfortable whenever she deems it like, okay, this is a good shot. I can just pull up here. She also now has the reps and the improved ability to, okay, now I'm going to pass it to the roller. I'm going to get the ball out of my hands because I see someone else has a easier or better opportunity to make something happen. And so with her being in her more natural position and having having the freedom to, okay, when I have the ball, I can just not necessarily worry about running the offense like a majority or a large portion of the time because someone else is there for that. I know when I get the ball, I can when I get the ball, I can freely, go up and try and get a bucket. But I can also, with the reps that I had in the previous years, yeah, I can find someone else. I can find the open person. And so you really see the growth there. You see also Kayla McBride. Kayla McBride is, of course, one of the most potent shooters in the association. You see her flying off of screens, but you also see her going downhill, getting to the line. She's averaging. Let me check out what I forget. She's averaging quite a bit of free throws so far this season. I should also mention that in the early going of the season, probably everyone's free throw rate is up. So we'll see maybe if there is a mid-season crackdown on the amount of whistles people get, then maybe the line or the number will go down. But right now, she gets to the line to shoot about 4.7 free throws a game, which is good. Which is good. Is that the most on the team? It's second most to Natasha Howard at 4.8. So, and Olivia Miles is at 4.3. So you like to see that, but she is, of course, a great perimeter threat. And we're seeing Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride also trying to do their thing on defense. Like I said, it's a Cheryl Reeve team. Of course, they're going to try on defense, but you see that stuff there. And you kind of forget how good Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride can be. They're kind of, I'm not sure if underrated is the right word, because I'm not sure if they are underrated, but I think they're certainly under talked about in terms of maybe their standing in the league and how good they are in comparison to others. Maybe their position where they're ranked isn't wrong necessarily, but of course, being that good and that consistently good is extremely, extremely valuable, and you see it so far to start in this season. We also got to go to the rookie, Olivia Miles. Like I said, the addition of Olivia Miles has allowed Courtney Williams to slot back into the shooting guard position. Olivia Miles running the point, and Olivia Miles is already one of the best point guards in the association and like a top 5 like pick and roll ball handler in this league. And that's crazy as a rookie to just come out and be that awesome and just to be that awesome offensively as a pick and roll ball handler. Obviously, in dictating, when she wants to get it to the roller or when she wants to go downhill with the ball and try to finish among traffic. So she's very poised as a rookie, which is a surprise, which is something that you love to see, and that's really great. She's fearless as a player, especially when she's trying to finish around the rim. Of course, the 3-point shot and perimeter shot, that's still a work in progress. And the defense, even though she is, and even though she may not be the best defender out there, she's still contributing, she's still giving effort. And that's extremely, extremely valuable to not be an uber weak link in a team that is trying to be competitive. So shout out to Olivia Miles. And we've also seen her make big plays down the stretch of games. We saw in the game against the Phoenix Mercury where it was a lot of pick and roll, or was he? No. I'm mixing them up. It was the game against the Dallas Wings, I think, where Olivia Miles pick and roll. They just did that so much down the stretch, and she came away with so many open layups down the stretch, which was maybe not the best defense by the Wings, but still got to give credit to Olivia Miles in that area. And then the game against the Phoenix Mercury, where Olivia Miles, I think, ran the pick and roll and then found Nia Coffey on the wing for the dagger 3. So you see the poise and gives them an edge in late game execution, which has been an area of uh I'm not sure the word right now, but it's been kind of an area where you're like, over the past like 2 seasons for the Minnesota Lynx, especially last year versus the Phoenix Mercury, where the late game execution was very questionable. So if Olivia Miles is that steady force for them that makes their late game offense, especially for a postseason setting, very, very, it makes it a lot more formidable, certainly. Now, I think we also have to touch on the vet, the big vet, Natasha Howard, turning back the clock, looking like it's freaking 2019 up in here. I never, I did not know she had this left in the tank, and I think I saw an interview with Cheryl Reeve sometime before the season started. That was like she said she was going to talk to Dan Hughes, who was a coach of Seattle at the time for Natasha Howard's best seasons. I'm not sure if she did do that. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but she's turning back the clock and it's crazy. And right now we are only 6 games into this season, but Natasha Howard is averaging 17 a game, 8 boards, and most importantly, 4 offensive rebounds. You're giving your team 4 extra possessions, 4 extra opportunities for your team to score. And that's huge. That I don't think I need to tell you the impact of being able to get 4 offensive rebounds in a game. And that's what she's doing over the past 6 games. Early season, low sample. That number is probably going to go down as the season goes on. But even still, if Natasha Howard is going to be one of the best offensive rebounders in the game, that's huge for the prospects of the Minnesota Lynx, especially, you talk about winning on the margins, extra possessions. Offensive rebounding does that. So Natasha Howard has been doing that. She's been finishing around the basket and being like probably the biggest option for whenever they run the pick and roll for the Lynx. She's been solid on defense. Of course, the steals and blocks numbers aren't the best or aren't the gaudiest numbers, but I think you see her on rotations and hands up, not fouling. Or is she fouling? No, she's 4.2 fouls, so that's kind of fouling. But she's also at 4.5 turnovers a game, so she probably wants to bring those just a bit down, just a bit. But and she's also at 48.3% from the line. Maybe you want to bring that a bit up. But either way, Natasha Howard has absolutely blown expectations out of the water, I think, this season. Maybe she's 34. I don't know if we thought maybe she was washed or she looked like she was on the decline, certainly, and now she's on a great bounce back season. And that's really, really important for the Lynx and what they want to do. And lastly, really quick, Nia Coffey. Like I said, I am a newer WNBA fan. I don't know. Nia Coffey, I'm sorry. I wasn't familiar with your game. I wasn't. I don't know ball. Not yet. Maybe I won't ever. Who knows? But Nia Coffey, I did not know that you had this in you. Defensively, she has been so huge. The size isn't the craziest, but the length and being in the right spot, rotations, and she's come away with. I mean, we've seen some really good closeout blocks on 3-pointers. We saw that, I think, in the Sky game, and she's been flying. And I did not, like I said, I did not know Nia Coffey had that in here. And she's turned it around. She's been a really, really good shooter to start the season. Like I said, she hit the dagger 3 against the Phoenix Mercury. And she's going to be a near 40% free 3-point shooter. That will be great. I mean, I'm not sure how sustainable that is. Plus, it's on like low-ish volume. It's on right now 3 attempts a game, so which is still like respectable for a role player. But if you're gonna get like a really good role player that's gonna defend well and then be available, be ready for 3-point shooting, like any team wants that. That's 3-and-D. I'm not 3-and-D. Every team would love to have that type of role player on their team. And you got to give a great shout out to Nia Coffey for doing this on this team and being a really, really solid contributor. It also maybe speaks to a bit of Cheryl Reeve being awesome to get this out of her. But she also has put in a lot of work to be able to do this. So shout out to both of them. Shout out to that's great stuff there. Last thing I want to touch on, but right now, I'm not sure if this is going to continue, but their top four scorers, Olivia Miles, Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams, and Natasha Howard, are averaging 15 plus points a game. So your four best players without Nafisa Collier are just penciled in for 15 a game. That's really, really impressive. That's great. That makes it so that there are multiple threats on a consistent basis, on a consistent game to game basis, where X player can have a great night, X player can have a great night, X player can have a great night. Maybe one player can pick up the slack. Maybe they all have like really good nights. You always like to have an offense that can have multiple contributors at a high level. And the Minnesota Lynx having that, even without Nafisa Collier to start the season, is really, really, that's good. I'm running out. I need to get a thesaurus. I need to look up synonyms. But this just makes me excited for the prospects of what it's going to be like when they do get Nafisa Collier back. She's going to slot in here, and she's going to be a deploy caliber defender. She's going to be one of the most efficient players in the league. She's going to run the pick and roll with Olivia Miles, and that's going to be probably one of the most potent, hard to guard, crazy stuff ever. Well, maybe not ever, but this is a bit of exaggeration on my part, maybe, but that's going to be great. And then, of course, they still have Courtney Williams, Nafisa Collier pick and roll that they've just developed great chemistry over for the past 2 seasons. I don't think that's going to go away, especially in maybe Olivia Miles' less minutes. So Nafisa Collier is going to be, I mean, she's one of the top 3 players in the association. I don't think it's a stretch to say that she's very important to the success of this team. But this just makes me really excited for what they can do. Although this year the competition is looking extremely, extremely stiff if we're talking about what they might be able to do in the playoffs. They did make a really tough fight in 2024 though. So you never want to count them out. But you just got to give them credit for what they're doing right now and what they can do in the future. So that's good stuff for the Minnesota Lynx. That's awesome. Shout out to them.